Hello and welcome to Projector, an occasional series where I look at the latest releases, whether I saw them at a pre-screening or they just opened in the UK early. The first movie I'll be reviewing on the show is the latest collaboration between Tony Scott and Denzel Washington, Unstoppable. It's the first day on the job as a rail conductor for Will, played by Chris Pine, who is paired up with experienced engineer Frank, played by Denzel Washington.
Excuse me, I'm looking for Frank Barnes.
You found him?
I'm Will Colson. We're working together today. I train 1206.
1206?
That's the one.
That's the profile?
Yeah, you want to take a look? Is there a problem?
No problem. I just don't like working in a damn daycare center.
Yeah, well, I don't like working at a retirement home, so...
All right.
Unfortunately, it's not just any first day, because a train carrying hazardous toxic chemicals becomes a runaway with no brakes. That's what happens when you leave Randy Hickey in charge, folks. Now it's up to them to stop the train racing through Pennsylvania before it causes a catastrophe. The film represents a back-to-basics approach for director Tony Scott, whose previous film, The Taking of Pelham 123 remake, was overstuffed and overlong. There's much less superfluous fluff plot-wise from the Pelham remake. Even his rather abusive use of filters is largely absent. That said, he is still using his zoom-in for emphasis technique, which is used frequently. The movie runs at a brisk 100 minutes, which shows just how much Scott reined himself in for this one. What surprised me about Unstoppable is how secondary the lead actors were for most of the movie. For the first hour or so, Denzel and Chris Pine are both periphery to the plot. Because our lead characters are on the sidelines for the first half of the movie, that means there's no one for the audience to connect to in the first half. The first half is mostly spent trying to develop the characters of Pine and Washington, but it gets to the point where you'd wish they'd actually start getting properly involved in the main conflict and less jabbering. Once they do get involved, the film picks up considerably. The last 30 minutes of the film are very suspenseful and very nail-biting, as you might expect from the director of Crimson Tide. Refreshingly from the action scenes, they're mostly practical effects, which should be encouraged in a day when everything is CGI to hell. The problem with the movie is that although there's a lot of noise and fury, there isn't much going on behind it. In some ways, the film is a glorified TV movie of the week, which mostly just sticks to the events at hand without much wider scope. The actors do quite well in their parts, but there's not much they can really do with them. Washington and Pine both have family troubles which are meant to give the characters depth, but they're both predictable arcs. The pair are also given an old guard versus new guard conflict, which can be a little irritating in the first half. I thought Rosario Dawson did quite well in a thin and rather underwritten part. Dawson spends much of the film at a control panel separate from the main action, but she gives the character some life and spark.
This is Connie Hooper, you there?
1206, over.
Just wanted to see how you boys are doing.
We're doing about 60 miles an hour, Connie.
Sorry? Frank, I don't understand.
We're going after your train.
Although it has some good stunts and set pieces, I think it takes too long to get going. It's passable and enjoyable while it lasts, but the only thing unstoppable is how quickly it will fade from your memory.